Now there are varying approaches to getting through a merge point depending on whether you're in the lane that continues straight ahead or whether you're in the lane that has to diverge across and join the other lane. So depending on which lane you're in, you will either need to check your mirrors, indicate and check your blind spot, or just simply check your mirrors and check your blind spot without the need to indicate. It all depends on whether your lane continues straight or merges across into the other lane, and you'll see what I mean when we get to these merge points. Generally speaking, in Joondalup, the left lane is the one that needs to move over. Now we're heading north on Grand Boulevard, coming up towards the intersection of Boas Avenue. And as you can see on the left up here, there's a Form 1 lane sign, which means there's a merge point up ahead. When the broken line down the middle of the road ceases, then we merge across. So we check our mirrors, we check our central mirror, our right mirror, we indicate right, we check our blind spot over our right shoulder, and we gradually move across into this lane. And then we cancel our indicator. Now we're heading east on Boas Avenue, coming up to Grand Boulevard, and as you can see, there's one lane of traffic heading east here, but when we get to the traffic lights, there are now 2 lanes. Now we can quite happily sit behind this car that's turning right, because we know from experience that this set of traffic lights does have a green arrow every time. Now because we've stayed in the right hand lane here, our path through this intersection and into the merge point on the other side will be completely straight, so we won't be indicating. So we come through the intersection here, we keep dead straight, we get to the merge point on the other side of the lights, and we check our blind spot. Okay, we've already checked our mirrors on the way through, but we just do that check just to make sure we know who's on our left and who's merging with us. Now who goes first on the merge depends on who's got their nose in front. So whoever's in front, they go first and the other car drops back. So we're just coming up here to the exit from the licensing centre car park, so if you came onto the road here in your driving test, you'd just be commencing your test right here, coming down in a westerly direction down towards the intersection of Grand Boulevard and Boas Avenue. So again, this is a 1-lane road heading west. When we get down to the traffic lights, it'll be 2 lanes. Now, if you can't squeeze through this gap with a big enough margin on the car on your left, without going across that centre line, then you wouldn't go through, because that's an unbroken line. You can only go over the unbroken line to get around a permanent obstacle. In this case, I'll get through comfortably here, so I'm going to drive down. But in your driving test, if you couldn't get through, then you would wait back there, because that car was only a temporary obstacle. So now we're in the right hand lane. Same as before, when we go through the traffic lights, we'll keep our path absolutely dead straight. At the moment we're about 1 metre from the centre island. As we drive through the intersection and come out the other side, we still want to be that 1 metre from the central island. We can't drift left because there may be a car on our left side in that merge point. You must drive absolutely gun barrel straight. Okay, lights have turned green. Through we go. As we go through the lights, glance to the right, glance to the left to make sure you're safe. We come down to the merge area, check our mirrors, check our blind spot to the left. Now again, we can't cross this unbroken line in the centre here because that car parking is only a temporary obstacle. We must wait for them to clear, and then we can go through. If you cross that unbroken line in your driving test to get around a temporary obstacle, you will fail your test for breaking the law. Now we're coming down to the intersection of McClarty Avenue and Shenton Avenue, and as you can see, this 1-lane road now becomes 2 lanes at this intersection. Now we can't see because of the van in front of us, but the road ahead merges back into 1 lane on the other side of the traffic lights. And this left lane is actually the lane that pushes across. The right-hand lane is the one that continues straight. So in this case, we will need to indicate. So we come through the lights, we check to the right, we check to the left, we head through into the merge area, we check our central mirror, our right mirror, we indicate right, and we check our blind spot to the right, and we gradually drift over. It's a very gradual drift because there could be a car just behind you and they need time to be able to drop back to allow you to blend into their lane. Okay, coming up to these traffic lights, we can see that we're currently in a 1-lane road and it becomes a 2-lane road. Now, which lane should we go to? The car in front is indicating right and there won't be a green arrow, so we need to go into the left lane. Otherwise, we'll get stuck behind all of those cars. So we move across to the left lane, cancel the indicator and come up to the line. Glance to the right, glance to the left. Coming up to the merge area, check our central mirror, our right mirror, indicate right, check our blind spot to the right and gradually drift across. I emphasise the word gradual. It's not a veer across, it's just a blending in with the other lane. Now this time I'll move across into the left lane and that will mean that I'll need to merge with these cars on my right as we go through the traffic lights, and we'll try to illustrate what happens when you merge when there's another vehicle around. So we've got a car next to us and we've got a car just behind us on our right. So when these lights go green, we'll move across the intersection and we'll be in a merge area. So we move across to here, we check our mirrors, our central mirror, our right mirror, we indicate right, check our blind spot to the right and we drift across and blend in with the traffic. Now any vehicle behind us or next to us who didn't have their nose in front of us would have dropped back to let us get across to that lane. Now we're coming along Grand Boulevard heading south, and up ahead is a Form 1 lane sign. Now we're in the left lane, so when you see the road coming up ahead on the camera, you'll see that our lane has to merge across with the lane on the right. So when we get up to this area where the broken line finishes, we check our central mirror, our right mirror, we indicate right, we check our blind spot to the right, and we gradually drift across. When we get across to this lane, we cancel the indicator. We're coming up to the intersection of McClarty Avenue and Shenton Avenue, and we can come through this intersection in either lane. This time we're coming through in the right hand lane, checking right, checking left, coming through on the amber light, that's fine. Now we check our central mirror, our left mirror, and we check our blind spot to the left. We don't indicate left because we didn't diverge at all. We just kept driving in a straight line. Now another scenario, heading south on Grand Boulevard, is coming up to the merge point but choosing not to merge but to turn left at the traffic lights. Now the assessors in Joondalup still insist on a right blind spot check even though we're not moving across, so we do that. So we come down here, we get to the merge area, we check our central mirror, our right mirror, we do a blind spot check to the right even though we stay across here on the left. We get past this intersection and we indicate left and we cut across all of these lines. Now we don't need to do a left blind spot check because we never actually moved across in the first place. So it saves you merging, but just remember you must do that blind spot check over your right shoulder even though you're not moving across at all. Alright, it's an easy one to miss. Okay, now we're heading south again along Grand Boulevard, heading up towards the merge point. And you'll notice on our left here we have bus stops along the way, but no actual dedicated bus bay. So what you need to watch out for along here when you're doing your driving test in peak hour is that the buses are quite often pulling over to pick up people. So what you do if a bus pulls over is you move across to the right hand lane. That may mean that you approach this merge point in the right hand lane. So in this case here, our lane is continuing straight ahead. We check our central mirror, our left mirror, we don't indicate, we check our blind spot to the left and we just keep on driving straight, merging in with the traffic, if there is any, on our left. Now remember, this rule about not indicating when you're travelling straight ahead, that's a rule that's enforced by Western Australian driving assessors. Your state or your country may not have the same interpretation, so make sure that you check that. But certainly over here, if you're driving straight ahead, there is no need to indicate and you're not expected to indicate. Left or right. If you choose the right hand lane, then you'll be going through this intersection and merging without the need to indicate, because as you can see straight ahead, the lane we're in right now is the lane that continues straight. So we look right, we look left, we continue through in a straight line, we check our central mirror, our left mirror. We don't indicate, but we check our blind spot to the left. Remember, if you're travelling straight, you don't indicate. If you're merging across, you do. Also remember, that's the West Australian interpretation of the merging rules. So make sure you check your local jurisdiction. Now just to recap the basic rules of merging. As you come up to merge, have a look and see whether your lane is the lane that continues straight or whether it's the one that's going to merge across. If you're merging across, then you have to include an indicator in your checks. So it would be mirrors, indicate, and blind spot check. If your lane is the one that continues straight, then it's simply going to be checking of the mirrors and a blind spot check with no indicate. If you're in the merge area and there's a vehicle next to you, then you've got to work out which car has its nose in front. The car with the nose in front is the car that goes first. The obvious question is, what if both cars are dead level? Well, if it's a driving test, you make the judgment call. If the other car looks like it's trying to get past you, let it go. If the other car looks like it's trying to drop back a bit, you go. But generally speaking, there'll be one car in front, and you can just let that car go, or if you're the car in front, you go ahead. Remember, the assessors do not expect you to indicate if you're not moving across as part of your merge. But again, if you're watching this video in another state or another country, make sure that you check your local rules. So thanks for watching. If you've got any comments to make, feel free to make them in the comments section. And if there's anything else that you'd like us to try and explain to you a bit better, maybe make another video, let us know and we'll see what we can do.